Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. My name is Bernardo Rondeau. It is such an honor to be here with all of you on Heritage Monday. So grateful for Locarno Film Festival for this ongoing celebration of classic and restored cinema. It's rare to have a film festival of this nature that pays such close attention and love for preserving film history, and I want to applaud them for that. This is going to be a really interesting panel discussion about, as you can see, how different entities use promotional strategies for classic film. I'll let each of our panelists introduce themselves and say a little bit about their company, and then we'll start a wonderful discussion. So, Elodie, please take it from here.
Hi. Thanks so much to the festival for inviting us, and I wanted to take this moment also to congratulate the team in the retrospective and in the heritage, because the films are amazing. I'm really enjoying myself in the festival, so thank you so much. I'm Elodie Mellado. I'm from Filmin. I'm a program there. Filmin, it's a VOD company from Spain. This year we are going to accomplish our 18th anniversary, so we are like very established in Spain and also in Portugal. And we, for example, in our company, we have like these titles last year, like The Substance, No Other Land, or Flow, amongst our greatest titles. But classic cinema, it has like a lot of importance in our platform too. Does it work? Yeah, I have like this. It has like a lot of importance in our platforms too. Right now we have more like 3,000 classic titles, a lot of them restorations, and of course we work to bring more and more of them every year. This was a campaign that we made like a few years ago, that we told like they are not old, they are classics, and it was like on the streets and everything, and it worked really, really well. It was like our first agreement with a major company. It was MGM. In this past few years, we have been making agreements with major companies such as Universal, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, Warner Brothers, 20th Century, Sony, MKDO, of course, and we're bringing more classics to our audience. And this is our catalog. So we manage like a lot of films, and I have to say like our most promotional things that we do is through social media. We have like a very committed community in terms of social media. A lot of people engaging in Instagram, also in TikTok, a lot of different audiences in every media. For example, Instagram is more like for 30s, 40s people. TikTok it's more for more young cinephiles, and we are like improving in that social network, connecting with them. And I'm going to show some of the things that we do to connect with classic films and these in this media. For example, we do like a lot of aesthetics posts. They are work really, really well in terms of engaging with the audience. And we have seen that comparing films, modern contemporary films with classic films, it worked really, really well, and the audience really appreciate it. And, you know, like doing like funny posts and, you know, like getting like this cool vibe to classic cinema. Also, for example, we did these collections this year, Barda, Lynch, and we put them together. Also, for example, in TikTok, we take advantage of maybe November, and we rediscover to their audience that maybe they are not like so used to watch noir cinema, and give them like this funny way of entrance. And we recommend like 10 classics that you need to watch this November. And also, for example, we release Chantal Akerman's film Gentleman, and we take advantage of the Sight and Sound poll because it was really, really popular and people really connect with the film through the poll. So we kind of take advantage of these community items, so we can like connect the films with the audience. And also, I wanted to show like this little video that we made from the release of The Substance. The Substance is a film that in Spain enraged really, really well with young audiences. And in TikTok, we made like this reference video that connects the, you know, like the film with classic cinema. So in that we wanted to connect young audiences to these films that maybe they don't know, and they can like rediscover through this film that it works like so well. And we performed this in TikTok, and in terms of curation, we did like this collection of films in the platform, and it worked really, really well, and it reboosts the views of all these films. well, this is an example of the things that we do in terms of promotion and campaign. Also, we do merchandising with influencers. It's very important for us to work with Spanish influencers. And, well, you know, they love to make photos of themselves with all this stuff. Also, and I'm closing now the presentation, we remade artworks for our films because we are a VOD platform, and the posters are like the main entrance to most of these films. And most of the times with our in-house team, that are amazing designers, we like redo posters from these classic films to, you know, approach them to new audiences. And these are some of the examples that we made. This was the retrospective from Seijun Suzuki that we made in collaboration with Nikatsu. And it was this trailer that we made. And also we work with, for example, Filmotex from all over Europe. This was a release that we did from the Five Seal with the National Hungary Institute. We also remade the artwork. And, well, this is a bit of the things that we do in filming. And I hope like you have take a panorama of the things that we do and the way we work. Thank you.
I don't think you pointed at the screen. I think you pointed.
There we go. Hi, my name is Leo van Hey. I work with iFilm Museum. That's the Netherlands Film Museum located in Amsterdam at the Harbor. We used to be in a nice place in the Vondelpark, but since we moved to a new building, well, things have become huge, so to say. We have, at the moment, we have 4 screens, being able to project analog and digital, 70 millimeter in our biggest cinema. We have 2 exhibition spaces, a large one for temporary exhibitions and a smaller one. And since the beginning of this summer, we also have an animation gallery, which is quite successful with kids, families. Our film archive is about 60,000 titles, and we have several, let's say, departments for distributing our archive or distribution titles. Of course, we have archival loans, loaning out films to VIAF members and festivals. We distribute about 6 to 10 classic films per year, reach 85 cities in the Netherlands, 160 theaters, I think, that's in total. And since 2021, we have the iPlayer, or streaming platform. This is a typical, let's say, sum up of programs. Of course, the more traditional retrospectives, the repertory program. We also do theme-based programming, like, for instance, the punk program we did a couple of years ago, which was very successful, Erotica. Of course, when we do an exhibition, we also try to do a lot of other activities, retrospectives. For instance, we had the Werner Herzog exhibition, Chantal Ackerman. We have some series which also like bi-monthly or monthly, which focus on typical, let's say, eye programming, or Restored and Unseen series, Eye on Arts, which focuses on the relation between film and the visual arts. Our analog screenings on 70 millimeter are quite successful, I must say. We always did 70 millimeter, but since a couple of years, I think since The Hateful Eight by Tarantino, it became quite popular. And also we noticed that 35 millimeter is something people really like. It's like the vinyl of cinema, so to say. And nice to know is that we have a training program for young programmers called Programmers of the Future. Sadly, it ends this year because our funds have dried up, but we also have several other initiatives for young people who want to get involved in cinema. Well, this is what we do in terms of distribution. Like I was telling, since 6 to 10 classic films per year. We do international classics, also discoveries, so like films that had not been released in the Netherlands, like Moving by Shinji Somai, which was sold by MKD. And of course, we do Dutch heritage cinema. We always try to tie up with programs or retrospectives or exhibitions, or maybe there's an anniversary, a memorial. And I think what is really new for us for the past five years is that we do about everything. Every film we release, if it's a non-English spoken film, we also want to have the English subtitles because, the audience is really changing in the bigger cities of the Netherlands. There are lots of expats, there are lots of international students. There are even theaters in Amsterdam which only play films with English subtitles or English spoken. Like for now, that's the trends in the Netherlands. I think they're sort of similar to other countries, I think. I think what distinguishes it maybe is what I was saying just now, that the use of English subtitles next to Dutch subtitles. And, well, of course, more and more re-releases. We have more distributors also re-releasing classic films. There's a growing and younger audience for classic and heritage cinema. There's also more screens. When I was looking at the trend in the 90s, that was when cinemas were disappearing, and in the last 10 years, new cinemas were established, but also existing cinemas expanded with extra screens, also in areas where the cinemas were closed like 20 or 30 years ago, and of course the city is also expanding. So there's really a potential also for this development. And I think what is interesting is that we have the Cinephile membership. Cinephile is an organization. You can get a subscription, monthly subscription for like 19 euros per month, and you can see as much films as you want. And when I look at the results of our classic films, it's like 60% has a Cinephile membership as an average. So this possibility of seeing many films, and also sometimes trying to see a film that you never had heard of before. So taking a risk becomes possible with this membership. Okay, this is some of our programs and releases in 25. It's not the only re-releases we do, but you see the 3 major film seasons that we are doing. Tilda Swinton is coming up in September. That is our biggest program for this year. Okay, there's the iFilm Player or streaming platform. It's TVOD, so it's without a subscription. We have a lot of free content on it. Nice thing about the iFilm Player is that it also makes possible to publish really old stuff from your archive and finding an audience for it. About 24% is free, accessible. The rest is rental. There's a lot of archive and distribution titles in it, also films from other distributors. And there's a social media, and now we have, okay, this is our strategy. Of course, we try to sell tickets. That's what social media are for. But we also try to give people context, so they are getting more and more aware of what I is and what I stands for. Here come the pictures. This is, for instance, the Nouri Bilge Ceylan exhibition we organized at the beginning of this year. So this is all Instagram, what you're going to see. So we promote it by using clips of the opening. Also, for instance, visual artist talking about his work. The trailer, of course. Oh, what happened? Sorry.
It's there. It's going.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. This is our film. This is how we use social media, Instagram for our film programs. For instance, the Satyajit Ray program we organized last year, In Search of the Modern. Of course, also for that we screen trailers. In the middle there's a clip from our Stop Making Sense evenings, dance-along evenings, dance-along with Stop Making Sense, which was a huge success. Every week we send a newsletter to approximately 60,000 subscribers. And of course we also use this newsletter for Insta stories, telling a little bit more about the programs, the films that we screen. For instance, in Eye on Sound, there was Larry Seiler was a guest in Zoom to speak about Instituta Benjamenta, for which he made the soundtrack. I'm sorry, some of it is in Dutch. This is our POV, point of view, so bringing people closer to what we do. For instance, over here, there's the Hoyte van Hoytema being interviewed about his camera work for Oppenheimer. Yeah, I like this one as well. iFilm Player. One of my colleagues thought of a very funny idea. You see Abel, which is a film by Dutch director Alex van Warmerdam. The scenes plays around Christmas, and we all know how sometimes Christmas can be a thing with family, of course. And this is a very ironic quote from the film. She made big subtitles. We didn't wish each other a Merry Christmas yet. And this one was shared by many people during Christmas.
Wij hebben elkaar nog een vrolijk kerstfeest gewenst.
Ja,
Vrolijk kerstfeest.
Ja, vrolijk kerstfeest. En laten we nou voor één keer eens proberen een kerstontbijt te hebben. Zonder ruzie.
Waarom moet je dat nou zeggen? Er is toch helemaal geen ruzie?
Dat zeg ik ook niet. Ik wens onszelf juist een kerstontbijt toe zonder ruzie.
Ja, daar moet je dan vooral de nadruk op leggen. Dan komt er juist ruzie.
Ja, je moet dat godverdomme niet omdraaien.
Ik draai niks om, ik zet het...
Merry Christmas. This is the thing called carousel infographic, which is sort of a string of images with, let's say, more background info on specific films. The one above. That's not the iFilm Player, but it can be let's say speak about films that are on the iFilm Player. This one's about let me see the Marleen Gors film Broken Mirrors. So there's a podcast, for instance. There's also, let me see, a screening, and it was also promoted. It was also you could also see it on the iFilm Player. Clips from the iCollection. The last one. Of course, we also try to promote our film posters. And Jacques, who's that on the right? So that's Irène Jacob signing the film poster of La Double Vie de Véronique when she was attending iFilm Museum for the opening of the Kieslowski retrospective. People could win a poster on the condition that they were telling us why this film was their favorite. So, thank you.
Okay, I don't know if is the video on there.
Okay, anyway, you can turn the sound on. You can turn the sound off. So it's just a demo I brought of Revoir produced an app. But I'll tell you the history of my company. I started Revoir 30 years ago. At the time I'm a filmmaker, experimental filmmaker, and I was a volunteer at the Filmmakers Co-op in Paris. And at that time in the mid-90s, a lot of programmers from festivals would come and they would want to preview the films on 16mm. And the films would get scratched, you know? So we started asking filmmakers if they would put a VHS of their films with us so we could show them to the programmers instead of scratching the films. And well, one person didn't really understand what I was asking, It happened to be Maya Deren's third husband's third wife. And she said, yes, you should distribute the VHS. So I said, you know, we should. and my colleagues didn't really want to do that kind of work, but I decided, and they helped me. I founded Revoir in 1994 and released Maya Deren in 1995, along with Hans Richter and Patrick Bokanowski. So the idea was there'd be American films, European films, old films, new films. And every year it released more and more. And we released VHS for about 15 years, let's say from 95 to, no, 10 years, till about 2005. Around 98, 99, DVD came out, but the tests that I did looked terrible because experimental films are not like, you know, narrative films. Every frame can be different, like Stan Brakhage paints on the film. And the compression from DVD really didn't work for these films. So I said, we can't accept that quality, and we just continued in VHS where every frame is there. Until around 2005, I was working with the Pompidou Center on a big exhibition on Dada, and Cecile Starr, who represents Hans Richter, said, you have to do a DVD. And I said, okay, we'll try, and we did a DVD. It looked not too bad, but it was, anyway, it sold so well, I was like, well, I guess we have to do this to stay alive. And we put out DVDs, and around 2007 to 2011, the algorithms got much, much better, and then DVDs started looking okay. At first, we were doing DVDs of films that were like natural motion, like Philippe Garrel film, but later we can do all the experimental films. And then I saw a presentation in Cannes about Blu-ray. In 2002, I decided we'll just skip DVD and go straight to Blu-ray because that's what looks better. But there was no way to do that because of it was too expensive, and there were no players, and then there was a kind of format war. So anyway, we started putting out Blu-rays around like 2016 or so. So every 10 years we changed the format. And this time we've changed to, not changed, but added another format, which is streaming. So we have a TVOD on our website, but we have an SVOD, which is an app that you can download called Revoir Online. And with this app, which you can see here, it's like a database. I don't know if you have the second video. Just the one? Okay. You can play it again and show just there's menus, so you can pull the film by title, by author, by year, by category. So if you're interested in found footage or animation or film diary, or if you want to see films from 1950s, or if you want to see films from Belgium, and it's like a database. So the idea behind Revoir, it's only experimental film. Experimental film, compared to classic feature films, it's more like poetry compared to the novel. They're usually made by just one person, often working alone in the darkroom to develop the film, or scratching on the film. There's no story, there's no actors. So our filmmakers are like a community, and I feel that the purpose of distribution, it's not marketing really, it's not to make money from the company, it's to make sure that these films get seen, that people can find them somehow if they want to see them. If you've heard of Maya Deren, you can look for it and find it. And when I started teaching in Korea about 12 years ago, I realized nobody buys DVDs here. They can't find these films. I owe it to the filmmakers to make these films available, and all the kids were watching on their phones. So that's why I programmed this app. And now all over the world, and it's also in different languages. If your phone is in Turkish, the app will be in Turkish, for example. You can access and find these films. And we have a lot of physical sales still in certain countries, like in Japan, and Canada, and France, and a lot of streaming sales more like in countries that have fewer DVD players. So yeah, I think of marketing in maybe a different way. Because it's not really, I mean, what does marketing really mean? It means it's a commercial project, but these films are not commercial. And then classic cinema, I'm not sure I really know if classic films applies to experimental films. Of course, some of them are old and classic, like the films from the 50s by the lettrists, Isidore Izou, Maurice Lemaitre, or the films from the Dada or Fluxus movements, or Jonas Mekas. And we've restored many, many films by Jonas, by Robert Kramer, Marcel Hanoun,
Arietta, Philippe Garel. But a lot of the films are by unknown artists, people who we respect and love, but whose films aren't seen so much, like Jacques Perconte or Olivier Fouchard. Or anyway, there's a lot of local filmmakers making these kinds of experimental films. So yeah, it's very interesting to change formats. We'll see what the next 10 years brings.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm Jacques Jagou. I'm a sales agent at MKG Films, dedicated to classics. So MKG is a company, French company, founded more than 50 years ago now. Started at Cinema Exhibitors in Paris. And it's now so sales agent and co-producing. We are basically acquire and represent 18 to 20 movies, new movies each year. So, and we like to, let's say, have strong and follow some directors. Basically, we had like this year Jafar Panahi and Joachim Trier, for example. Also, in my part, on the classic section, we are also acquiring and representing 15 to 20 new classics every year. We also have a batch of more than 1,000 films in our collections. And yeah, basically my job is like to make sure that some real, like let's say, renowned directors are getting like have the proper representation all around the world, but also we like to make new discoveries and rediscover some directors. For example, at the moment we are rediscovering and make sure like trying to find some and restored some Iranian movies from the 70s, or we did so also Japanese cinema from the 90s. And yes, this is basically what we do at MKG.
Hi, everyone. My name is Frances Hui. I am a curator at the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, in New York. I'm not going to assume that you know everything about MoMA, but we are a museum focusing on modern and contemporary art, founded in 1929, so we're quite old, actually, almost 100 years old. And what makes MoMA very special, especially for someone as a film curator, is that film is almost from the very beginning of the museum, almost 100 years ago, it was considered one of the important visual art expressions of our times. And actually in 1932, our founding director, Alfred Barr, he called film the only great art form peculiar to the 20th century. And so the film department was founded and at that time called the Film Library. And so it has the same and equal place at the museum alongside painting, sculpture, drawings, photography, architecture, and design. And so it is a great place for a film curator because if you look at other museums, art museums especially, usually film would be considered maybe part of education program or public program. Is not really seen as an art form, but for us, it's important that film is seen alongside all the other great art disciplines. We started collecting films very early in the 30s. We are one of the founding members of FIAF, the International Federation of Film Archives. And our first film curator, Iris Berry, she went to Hollywood at that time. And basically, at that time, it was not a wide practice to collect films. People made films, they would show the films for maybe a number of months and they would become trash. And so nobody had the concept that it's art to be preserved and to be collected. And so she went to Hollywood to convince the studio heads to donate the film prints to MoMA. So MoMA's film department, our collection, the foundational basis were basically Hollywood films. And we collected great gems from like 20th Century Fox, Samuel Goldwyn, and Paramount. And what's really touching is that many years later, these studios actually came to MoMA and asked to borrow their own works so that they could rebuild their own libraries. So right now, our work, as it has been for decades, would focus on collection, preservation, and exhibition. And film exhibitions could take place in the theater, like in theatrical format, like how we usually look at cinema. And you will also find film in our galleries, which is something quite unique about MoMA. We present about maybe 1,000, maybe 900, 1,000 screenings per year, pretty much almost every day. There might be like 2 or 3 days a year when we don't have screenings, like Thanksgiving or like a major holiday, something like that. Or there's like a security reason we cannot have a film screening. And we show all kinds of films. They are usually organized in series. It could be like a film director retrospective. It can be based on theme or looking at national cinema. And we also have annual film festivals that we organize, for example, To Save and Project, which is a festival of film preservation, usually with newly restored films. We also have in the summer a silent movie week. It's become a very popular thing. People really like to see silent films, and usually with live music. And we have other festivals such as Dark Fortnight, which focuses on documentaries and nonfiction films. New Directors, New Films is co-presented by MoMA and Film at Lincoln Center, which features emerging directors. And then we have a series called The Contenders, which is like a year-end series with films that MoMA curators consider among the best in the past 1 year. And so there are classic films, old films, and also contemporary films. I believe if you round it up, it would be like 50-50. And audience-wise, I don't see there's like a major differentiation. People prefer one to the other. And actually, a lot of the older films are extremely popular because people just realize that they are very hard to find and a very like unique opportunity to be able to see them in the theater. In fact, because MoMA is such a multidisciplinary organization and so enormous, we do so many things. We do not a great job with marketing because they cannot focus on the film program as a museum with so many different things happening. So we really rely on a regular audience just to build trust, and people will just come and they become members and they'll just watch anything we throw on the screen. And we rely a great deal on the local audience as opposed to our gallery exhibitions, because gallery exhibitions are visited by a lot of tourists. But the film program is very much local New Yorker program. And in terms of exhibition, we really just focus on theatrical screenings. We don't think, during the pandemic, many organizations created streaming platforms, and we did that too for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then we abandoned it because there are just too many streaming platforms, in our opinions. It's sort of there is just a vast ocean of stuff, and we just want to focus on theatrical experience. And that's not to say that we won't experiment with streaming again, but at the moment we don't want to do that. And a lot of our colleagues in New York kind of feel the same way. And so we will see. Well, let's discuss. I don't have more to add. Yeah, we have a circulating film library. So there are some films that we can send to small, like film society or organizations, and those films are in our collection. And sometimes there's schools that they would want to show these films, like and. Yeah, and but right now it's like there are fewer and fewer places that could screen these works, like a lot of them maybe like 16mm films. And as things become more and more digital, like a lot of places don't even have like a film projector. So, but we still provide that service.
So thank you all for those wonderful introductions. I mean, I think a commonality that obviously we can find among all your organizations is built on collections and obviously a love of cinema. A concern that came out of COVID, as La touched on, was how we were going to change how we did business, and a concern as well about audiences returning to cinemas or audiences re-engaging with cinema. Something that I can say anecdotally about Los Angeles, where I program mostly, is that the audience post-COVID started becoming younger and younger, which was really heartening for us. We were really worried that film audiences were going to sort of die with the medium or slowly die away. How have you found post-COVID your audiences have transformed, if they've transformed or transitioned, and has that then impacted how you reach out to them? Like, have you increased your social media in order to engage more with that perhaps different audience?
Can I? Well, for example, filming is a platform that it's born on the internet. So through all our history, we've been very based on social media. Actually, when we started, we were like too small to make like marketing in terms of classic marketing, like in the streets or in TVs or radios, etc. So all our marketing was through social media. So we were like really based on there even pre-COVID, because we are a streaming platform. We don't have like the feeling of the theatrical and the reunion and everything. So I have to say that for us, it was like kind of the natural thing. But it is true that we are experiencing the young cinephiles like rediscovering classic cinema, because of course our platform is not based on classic cinema. Classic cinema is all a part of the platform. As I told you, we have a catalog that it's more like 10,000 titles, and classics is 3,000 of all that catalog. But we are seeing that young audiences are like becoming eager to rediscover classic cinema. And this is something that, for example, you experience a lot and you see it through Letterboxd. There are like a lot of young cinephiles like rediscovering cinema through Letterboxd, and I think like the way we work, even in the platform, like doing these playlist collections to like reconnecting young audiences to all these films that maybe they don't know. And there's like even some journalists in Spain that I've been called that there's like some generation filming, that there's like young cinephiles that are rediscovering cinema through our platform, because as you say, like streaming platforms, there are like a lot and it's very difficult to navigate through all of them. So we have made like built like this trust for the releases that we made, and people like really notice when we release something like if there's a restoration, for example, what we did with Agnès Varda, or like all the films that we release, and we really take care in terms of social media promoting. There are classic films, they are not like a side of our platform, there is a strength. And I always talk about young audiences, but it's also true that we have a senior audience through our platform, that they are like rediscovering classic films that they are not visible in other platforms, in the major platforms. And this is funny because they own these catalogs. Sometimes you can even find their own films. And in filming, we have like, making this easy to also senior audiences that want to rewatch these films, and I have to say in dub versions, because for example for us, of course, original version is very important, but we have seen that for senior audiences, the dubbing version, it's better in terms of accessibility, and they want to rewatch the films as the way they watch it back in their days. So we have like these two kind of audiences, like senior that want to watch the films dub and the way they watch it, and younger audiences that are rediscovering classic films through all the things that we do and I have mentioned before. So for us it was like kind of a natural way in terms of social media and promoting there.
Yeah, that's very recognizable. We also have the same issue of navigating between different types of audiences, young audiences, which are now started discovering classic cinema, and of course you want to also to keep your older audience. So, for instance, with the subtitles, we do Dutch subtitle screenings during the daytime, English subtitles in the evening. But I think past COVID, also some other things happened. Like we had Me Too, we had Black Lives Matter. So we had some societal developments which also influenced the way we now look at cinema. We now also the way we look at classic cinema. It also had its influence on which films are now being restored. For instance, Killer of Sheep, Charles Burnett. We're going to release that next year. Charles Burnett is a black director of color, I should say, whose films were distributed in the Netherlands on a very small level, early 80s, I think. And I'm really curious to know what will happen when we release it next year. But in general, and that was also a development which started, I think, before COVID hit us. We noticed that audiences are more eager to discover, let's say, the unknown fields in classic cinema. So of course, it's very tempting to look at Letterboxd and look at the top 10 and to buy those films. Not that there's anything against it, but I think we should also try to find our own discoveries and not only look at. I mean, Asia is of course very popular now nowadays, but what happens in Africa? What happens in Latin America? I don't know if this answers the question, but that's what I think is important for us at this stage.
Just a couple of things. I don't think COVID really changed our business model or our impact, because it's home video what we do. But what happened is we started putting films out on our Vimeo Pro channel with a free code, which was stay home. And then people all over the world started seeing these films that they couldn't see before. So it really helped our promotion at that time. We had thousands of people watching, Jonas Mekas, or because we reached out and gave them this kind of gift to kind of make up for their loneliness. I don't know, but so stay home was the password. And the other thing is that I'm teaching Super 8 filmmaking in Korea, and because you have to be together, it was a class that was allowed in person. All the other classes were online. And the freshmen were so happy to come to school. It was their only chance to come to the campus because of my class. And we go in the dark room and, of course, wearing masks, developing the film in the dark. It was a really physical experience together, which during COVID was very rare, so that was special. But what did happen, which was negative impact, we have a gallery that I started 20 years ago. Because these films that we distribute are really artworks. They're not in the film industry so much as in the art world, you could say, although they're really in between in a kind of no man's land. But we started a gallery, and the purpose was to provide 16mm projectors to other galleries and museums that don't know how to project, and loopers, and to have exhibitions of filmmakers, film artists. And during COVID, of course, we couldn't do anything, and it was really a dead space during that time and kind of sad. But we try and promote what we call in French argentique, the film on film, as much as possible, because home video is a reproduction. We want to make it super clear that what you're watching is a reproduction. That's why it's called revoir, because it means to see again. You have to see it on film. Then, you know, it's like seeing a painting. You go to the Louvre and then you can see it in a book. In any case, COVID really brought this to the fore of people's minds that they have to see reproductions, right? So I think it helped people gain some clarity between what is the original and what is the copy.
As cinema exhibitors and MK2 during COVID, the company had to find solutions. So we, for the French market at least, we actually build and release our own SVOD platform called MK2 Curiosity, started during COVID. It worked pretty well at the beginning for the French. It was just for French market, but it was like the idea was to do like seven movies a week, curated by our journalists, because we have a free journal that we spread freely in our cinemas called Trois Couleurs, and they were making the selection, and so the idea was to do like something completely different. At the same time, we actually we had some of our films like a selection of our films on Netflix. That's actually the license started right at the beginning of COVID. So the French Netflix, the people before COVID, a lot of people were saying like it was really hard to find classic films on Netflix. But right at the beginning of COVID, we did like a deal with them for the French Netflix with like Varda and Truffaut and Jacques Demy title. So, but basically right after COVID, we still have our SVOD platform, and it's really like as cinema exhibitors, and what I'm witnessing as I'm sales agent, and I'm also watching also the markets in all Europe and in worldwide, is like it's really hard for like theater markets to find the same figures as they had in 2019. The French markets, we're a bit it's a bit better, but it's not really the same. And what I'm witnessing as I'm a sales agent for classics is like the part of classic films now in cinemas and from distributors is getting bigger and bigger. Like, well, let's just do simple thing. Like people are going less to cinema, but with the people, when you take like the apart from those people that are still going to cinema, they want to see more and more classics, and it's something it's real, and it's like I'm witnessing is in like the French market is very different, but it seemed like it started in Netherlands actually, and now I'm seeing this in Italy, in Poland. Same for the US market is also something like very different, but also in Japanese as well, but even in Australia, even in now, people are at least for theaters, people wants to see classics more and more, and we can also analyze that maybe the downfall is like people are also going to see less and less art house new movies. Maybe it's also that's the problem, but it seems like, for example, for the Polish market at the moment, Poland is a country that has, for example, it's just an example, but it's just like the cinema market in Poland has been like doing, let's say, like good and great figures for the past 15 years, and it seems like there's like lots of good festivals there. Lots of new theaters are opening every year, and it seems like for this year or like for the past 2 years, like the people are going. They want to see classics lots, but and so on my side, I'm really happy. But I need to understand that and to figure out like it's also because there are less and less people going to see some art house new titles. So. But the good thing about this is also like yeah, as we said, you were mentioning the young generation, and also you like Letterboxd. I'm every week I'm witnessing, because I'm also doing the programming for festival and cinemas directly, booking with cinemas. I'm selling the films to distributors, and I'm selling the films to cinemas directly. And I have some direct contact with cinemas around the world, and I'm seeing that like. Yeah, every week I'm having witness from, let's just say, like a word from cinema saying like, yeah, basically I've screened Tameglas, so Taste of Cherry from Abbas Kiarostami yesterday, and there was people like, they were only 16 years old, they discovered the film through Letterboxd, and they say, oh, okay, it's in top 3, I'm going to see the movie. And it's something I used to, last year I had like a few, but now it's every week. And not only thanks to Letterboxd, but it seems like there's a young audience now that wants to see movies and classic titles, and they don't really mind if the film was made in 70s, 90s, 2000s. They just, because now it's all restored, it's all 4K, so, and they just want to see a good movie. And it's funny because this is changing a lot now. The market but for example in France, the example, and it's still like for French exhibitors, showing a classic movie, for not for everybody, but for a lot of French exhibitors, for example, showing a classic movie is like for like old people, basically. It will only interest old people, but we are witnessing now. We are seeing that it's not the case anymore, and because the market shifted, and well, that's what I wanted to say on this. But
I am also observing that the younger generations really interested in older films. I'm trying to avoid the word classic. I'm not sure what classic is, because it assigns a value or judgment to what is good or bad. Repertory cinema. It is interesting for us. It's like, oh my God, you are showing In the Mood for Love again. But for a 21-year-old, it's like a brand new film, and it's like a major discovery. And so it is our responsibility to make those films available. I mean, they never get old. They're really timeless. And I talked about online and not online during COVID, but I think what COVID has done majorly is changing the economic landscape. I think that high inflation, the cost of people going out. I mean, if you watch a film at night and you go and have dinner, and it costs you a fortune, and it makes things very difficult for the audience, and especially the young ones. And for the exhibitors, it's extremely hard as well. It's like shipping now internationally. A 35mm print is enormous amounts of money. And then, of course, my country is going a little crazy right now. And so the filmmakers cannot get visas, even though with someone you think is like a no-brainer. Why should that person have any difficulty? So, I mean, lots of things have changed, and it's making things really, really hard. And I mean, fortunately at MoMA, financial concerns are not like a major factor in how we decide what to do or what to program. But I believe it's extremely difficult for like smaller exhibitors.
One thing that might be interesting to add is about the supply chain problems during COVID, because our costs went way up. Just for paper and pressing DVDs, every cost went up, but all the consumers wanted the prices to go down, and so our margins got much smaller. And especially young people, students, they want to pay less. So we are kind of torn between Blu-ray and DVD. DVDs are cheaper for people to buy, but most people that collect these things want a nice package, and they are willing to pay more. So it's very difficult to know if we're trying to cater to students for cheaper prices or for collectors for more expensive prices. But our costs go up, and the consumers are pushing them down. All the other DVD producers are lowering their prices. You can find them for $5, you know, so that's also interesting what happened during COVID.
We're running low on time, but I think we've also kind of touched on this topic in one way or other, and I just noticed the little dots on this microphone that Letterboxd has definitely had an impact in the way audiences are engaging, and it sounds to me like all of you are in some way or other embracing the Letterboxd phenomenon. Is there anything specific in the time that we have left about Letterboxd, other than the fact that it's obviously skewing younger? Have you found yourselves creating your own profiles in Letterboxd that then help bring audiences in, or you're kind of letting it all be crowdsourced at this point?
Well, we have like a Letterboxd account since the past 2 years. They have like these different accounts for members or patrons or companies. And we have like the company account. It's like now 6,000 followers right now and keep growing. And for example, in filming, we do a lot of curation ourselves, like in terms of playlists. It's kind of like the same thing that Letterboxd did with the list that are really popular in the platform. So we kind of like not replicate, because the Letterboxd audience is not the same that the one that we have in filming, but we take advantage of some of the collections that we already made and that we knew that they can work in Letterboxd, so we replicated them. And obviously very focused on younger audiences. For example, we were talking about Charlie XCX later, that she's a great cinephile and of course a great artist among young people. And when he came to Primavera Sound in Barcelona, we did like this collection with his favorite films. So in a way to engage with these audiences and maybe like, you know, like, hey, this artist that you know and that you love, it's watching these films and maybe you are interested because you can like see the references in her own music, right? Because, for example, we were talking too about Greg Araki, that is making like this comeback in young generations. The Brat poster for the CD of Charlie, it was inspired in Nowhere. So we are like kind of making these links with younger generations to appeal them to see these films. So yeah, I think this is to summarize what we do in Letterboxd, and we expect to grow in that social network. And we are like pushing it because yeah, this is where young cinephiles are, and they like this, maybe this, I don't know, I don't want to call it like gamification, because I'm a Letterboxd user too, and I'm really hardcore Letterboxd user, and I really love like this diary thing, like to keep track of the films that you watch and the different phases that you have in your own cinephile path. And I think like this is something that also younger audiences love to do and to share, and you know, like to comment films in a way that they are used to, that is through social media, through the internet. Of course, the cinematic experience and the collective experience is very special. And in filming, for example, we also distribute films that we acquire all rights in cinema. So we are not like close to screen exhibition. But it is true that it's very specific what you achieve through internet. And these people are used to connect through the internet. So it is quite logic that they are connecting through Letterboxd.
Well, it's a great way to have feedback from the audience on Letterboxd. I think that's important for us.
I don't know Letterboxd. I've never used it or seen it, but we have interns sometimes. We're only 3-4 people, so we can't do everything. We do everything, but as all experimental communities are overworked and underpaid. But we have sometimes student interns, and they've set up social media platforms that they know about. For example, some Chinese students set up on Weibo and Douban revoir platforms. And I think people on their own discuss what we release. For example, on Criterion's blog, people talk about revoir, which is great. But yeah, no, Letterboxd, I don't know what it is.
Actually, MK2, we actually have an agreement with the Letterboxd, where our company, we have actually also a marketing agency, so we basically touch base to each other last year, and we are trying to help them also integrate the European market. And it's not. I'm not able to say many concrete stuff right now, but there are going to be some things soon, some that I cannot announce now. But basically, yes, the idea is to work together. We've been in touch for a long time, and yes, as I'm saying, like even from cinema holders to festivals to actually our users and our people that following us on social media, they are also all on Letterboxd, and it seems to be like a very interesting, let's say, home for cinema lovers that. It's very, let's say, the very relevant, and what I really like the most is like you can see that it's not just people talking about cinema and make it top tens to each other. Like you can really see that it can thrive an opportunity to go to a theater. So yeah, it looks really interesting for us as well.
I'm with you. I don't really know Letterboxd myself. I'm very old-fashioned, but fortunately, I work in a large institution, so there are other people who can do those things. And also, I think like MoMA is a place where people like to take photos and put on Instagram. And one thing I know the young people in particular really like is when we bring, we introduce like live components to film screenings, just to have speakers, filmmakers, actors, even writers and editors, cinematographers. And they find those occasions especially interesting, and they like to post a photo or video online, and I actually enjoy it. I remember last year I did a conversation with Johnny To on stage, and MoMA didn't put a YouTube video online, but somebody in the audience actually filmed the entire discussion and then put the whole thing online. And within a day, like thousands of views and a lot of comments from Asia. So it's very, very powerful. And I'd like to explore more what young people are doing.
Well, I would like to try. Yeah.
I need to run for jury duty, if you don't mind. Yeah, but thank you very much.
Still, I want to tie in with the last remarks on. I mean, we should not underestimate the importance of location of the venues itself, because sometimes I notice that certain subjects do very, very well on social media, like when we posted on Insta on the queer program we organized during Pride. That didn't mean that people were buying tickets. No problem. But I think that the places that that work, when we noticed when we moved from the old location to the new venue, people really picked up what was happening over there, and also notice it with other venues in Amsterdam, especially the more groovy locations do very, very well in terms of young people coming up over there, because they sort of think the place is very cool. So it all starts with location, I guess.
And if I can just add, in 1995, I started a mailing list on the email called Frameworks, which was for experimental film. And thousands of people are there, and there are discussions about experimental film from the point of view of filmmakers, students, professors, curators, programmers, critics. So this is like a local social media, but it's 30 years old. But this is a place where the people who are in this niche market and are interested in the community can communicate about it. So that also is interesting.
Thank you so much. Time is up. Thank you, La, though she's no longer here. Thank you, Jacques, Pip, Leo, and Elodie. Thank you all so much for coming for our conversation. Have a good rest of your festival.